It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. In a bold start, Nigeria's 16th President Bola Ahmed Tinubu removes fuel subsidy and moves to unite exchange rate. The subsidy had over the years been an albatross that hindered the economy by stripping it of badly needed development funds. The president signaled a resolve to push for economic reforms. He promised to unite the country and prioritize security. But the civil rights advocacy group Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria kicked against the announcement by Tinubu that petrol subsidy was gone. Huriwa described the announcement as unconstitutional and authoritarian. Similarly, the leadership of the Labour Party, LP, described Tinubu's inaugural speech as uninspiring, saying it does not provide clear direction for the people of Nigeria. However, Tinubu in his inaugural address gave as a reason for the discontinuation of the fuel subsidy the fact that the immediate past administration of President Muhammadu Buhari made no provision for it in the 2023 budget.
On fuel subsidy, unfortunately, the budget that I've glimpsed before I assumed office, and what I've heard is that no provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone. Subsidy can no longer justify it ever increasing costs in the wake of dry resources. We shall instead channel whatever to fund to better investment in public infrastructure, education, healthcare, and jobs that we materially improve life for people.
Meanwhile, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, has assured that there is enough petrol in stock and Nigerians should avoid panic buying. It follows President Bola Tinubu's pronouncement earlier on the removal of petrol subsidy. Speaking to the media, Kyari says the move is in line with the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act. He says that the cost of subsidy had become a huge financial burden for the company. Meanwhile, midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authority says petroleum marketers will be monitored to ensure no filling station hoards petroleum products.
We welcome the decision of Mr. President to announce that subsidy on PMS is over. And this has really been a major challenge for NNPC's continued operation. We have been funding the subsidy from the cash flow of the NNPC since government is unable to defray the cost of subsidy that is due to the corporation. And we believe that this will free resources for the NNPC to continue to do the great works that this company will do for our country, and it allows us to continue to function as a very commercial entity. And we welcome this development. Secondly, we would like to assure Nigerians that we have sufficient supply of petroleum product, particularly petroleum motor spirit, in our country, and there is no reason to panic. We understand people will be scared of potential changes to price of petrol, but that is not enough for people to rush to fuel stations to buy more than what they need. But we are also assured that, we are watching all the distribution networks and support facility. We believe that normalcy will be restored very soon.
We're also calling on all the marketing companies, especially the big ones, the Moman, Dapman, Independent, Ipman, to please continue opening up their petrol stations, and there should not be any hoarding, because the regulator also is going to look after that to ensure that the public are taken care of. So I'm encouraging all the marketing companies to please continue their activities, ensure that there's flow of petroleum products so that there won't be any energy crisis in the country. And we are also, as regulators, going to be watching also the activities of these marketing companies to ensure that they are not hoarding in order to take advantage of the consumers.
Meanwhile, United States President Joe Biden, for the first time, has congratulated President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his inauguration, saying he looked forward to working with the new government of Nigeria. While noting both Nigeria and the U.S. had strong ties, Biden expressed his desire to strengthen the bond. According to him, the connections between both countries run particularly deep and have been nurtured by a great Nigerian diaspora in the U.S. Also, no fewer than 7 African presidents were present at the colorful inauguration ceremony. About 10 countries also yesterday formally presented their goodwill messages and letters of support and solidarity to Tinubu at the State House in Abuja, while representatives of the United Kingdom, United States, and Saudi Arabia held bilateral meetings with Tinubu. The UK government sent warmest congratulations to Tinubu and Shettima on their inauguration in a statement by His Majesty King Charles III. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, congratulated the former Lagos State Governor on his inauguration as president. Gbajabiamila said Tinubu's tenure would mark a period of renewed hope for Nigeria. Joining us later as we deliberate on the news segment is Arise business correspondent Rotus Odiri. We'll be talking about in detail some of the statements contained in the president's inaugural speech. However, Rufai, so many things to discuss.
So many things. A lot of people have said the inaugural speech was not inspiring. A lot of parts to pick out of the speech. At a time when Nigerians need a lot of healing, you need to have a speech that rallied people. And we thought that he was going to make key pronouncements, feeling the pains of people as regards the elections. But what he said was, yes, the election was highly contested, but I won. No, it's not about who won now. It's about the electoral process, which has been challenged in court. And to a large extent, what you say as regards that matters a lot to a lot of people that are watching. Secondly, I think the president-elect should quickly put together, even if it's a kitchen cabinet economic team, the president, beg your pardon. Even if it's a quick kitchen cabinet economic team, to be able to ensure that the mistakes he has made at his inaugural speech, he fixes them. And pardon my Freudian slip, it gets time getting used to. When you say something for a long while, there's something called a Freudian slip in your head. Because you have made some mistakes with that speech. The first one, and I just fact-check him now, when he said there was no provision for subsidy in the 2023 budget, that's not true. There was provision for subsidy, but it was up to half of the year.
Till June.
So President Tinubu saying there was no provision for subsidy, that's not true. 3.6 trillion was earmarked last year for subsidy. And we have that money on ground. Yes, you are saying you want to go further. It is gone. How are you going to have a phased removal? What is your plan around it? Because it is gone, you said, what the marketers will hear, let me jack up price. So even if they bought the products at the former price, they are still going to jack up the price. And that's what's happening. That's what they call market forces. And if, as a leader, you think the market forces are not strong, just wait and go and ask Madam Liz Truss how market forces made her one of the shortest British prime ministers ever. Things like this, it needs to be thought through. So is he going to make his decision? Maybe he's going to have a supplementary budget or whatever. I don't know, it behoves on him. But he needs to walk this back. Because you see, too many times, NNPC will come out with the rhetoric. What NNPC will always say, when you have first casting, what do they always say? One thing, we have enough supply. Market should cool down. The last time we had subsidy for months here, they kept on saying we have enough supply. But it didn't change the market situation. So I'm not surprised that Mele Kyari is saying what he's going to say. But the effect on the people, there's already queue everywhere. So he has made his first mistake. He will have to walk back this mistake in the course of the week. Everybody's gone blazing. Joe Ajero and Labour has gone blazing. Probably we have to call Labour into a meeting this week. Subsidy is gone. We want subsidy to go, don't get me wrong. But that was not the shock at which to say it. You will work with everybody to be able to see as a phased removal. I tell people, there's a difference between hypertension and hypotension. People want their BP to come down. But hypotension is worse than hypertension. And that's why you can't just load up on your BP drug so high because you want to crash your BP. It has to be phased. That's number one. We are seeing the effect, but I support subsidy removal.
Yeah.
And underline it, I support subsidy removal. Other things too he said about the economy yesterday. Interest rate must go down. Yes. But he also needs to understand the parameters that has made interest rates go up. Interest rate went up because there is inflation. So how is going to pull inflation down? It's not that the CBN just loves to increase interest rates. Do you think the CBN loves to squeeze liquidity out of the economy? No. And also the legacy issues of insecurity that make it difficult for farmers to be able to put food across, that makes food inflation on the high. So these are the things he needs to look at. And for him saying, I want to close up the exchange rate, yes, that's another good one, but it has to be methodical. I'm not saying what he said is not good, but it has to be methodical. There's a way to say something. So you want to close up the exchange rate. Don't forget, a week before now, Bloomberg had predicted that he was going to say this. And Bloomberg had written a story where they envisaged that the exchange rate now to dollar was going to go over 500. And do you know that thing shocked the market temporarily? But now that he has said that, that can also shock the market. But you also forget that most of your debts are, some of your debts are in dollars. And it increases your dollar debts. There's a time we'll have to have a convergence of exchange rate both on the parallel market and the official rate. But it has to be done methodically. And what you need to work more are the factors of production that brings about that exchange rate being like that in the first place. Apart from mammoth corruption, then the factors of production, are we productive? Are we having a product economy? All right? Mm-hmm. Are we having an economy that can bolster the possibilities? So those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. We don't have all of that on ground. I'm happy he talked about industrialization and economic well-being and development. But these are the things we need to work on. But generally sounded off on the digital sector, yes. Reality has also hit him. During the campaign, he said 12% economic growth. We kept on saying it's not possible. Reality has hit him now. Now he's moderated it to 6%. Yes, which is tenable, but with a lot of hard work. Because we remember the last time Nigeria grew 6% was over close to 10 years ago. You have to bring in a lot of hard work and productivity. But other people congratulating him. Yes, it's the beginning of a new era for the president, President Tinubu era in Nigeria. Prince Charles will congratulate him. Joe Biden will congratulate. Everybody will say they'll work in tandem with him. But also he has made his first mistakes, which is about this subsidy. And like he said, yeah, there's no budget provision. Yes, because it ends in June, because it's half year, but there was initial budget provision. But what will he do? Will he take it on? Will he say he will not make any budget provision? Will he want to have his own supplementary budget? Will he keep this budget? And that's just about it. So I wish him the very best. Yeah. And like we say, we are constantly here to say kudos to him when he's done well and to say you need to do a lot better. So I think his first thing is he needs to go and fix this problem on ground now because the queues have to leave.
Yes. Well, the truth is that the queues actually surfaced even before the inauguration. So for as many people who drove out yesterday morning as we had to because of work, we'd already seen cars being lined up on the streets as if in anticipation for the president's first speech where he would announce that subsidy would go. And so we already saw queues. And then obviously post his announcement, the queues increased, the length of the queues increased. And as you've mentioned, Rufai, a number of people have said that perhaps it wasn't the best to have announced it in such a way. What the last government had done or had said indeed was that for them to take out subsidy would have to be phased out, and there are certain measures that have to be put in place to cushion the effect on the ordinary man. And this is where the criticism of Huriwa has come, saying that the first thing he's doing as president is to perhaps make the lives of the ordinary Nigerian difficult through this announcement. Perhaps it could have been better managed because the conversation had been subsidies should be removed. The World Bank has said so. IMF has said so. They've asked or they've recommended for Nigeria to diversify those funds from subsidy to other developmental projects. And so it's not a conversation around whether it's a good move or not. It is how it was done, the manner it was said, and the immediate response and its effect on Nigerians. Unfortunately, as was suspected when this announcement will be made, a number of people have their suspicions of hoarding, and I'm glad that the midstream and downstream sector have said that they're going to investigate and search out marketers who were behind this deliberate hoarding. Because of course, from a marketer's point of view, I mean, I shouldn't say of course, because it is morally bankrupt to do that. You would think, I bought this at a subsidized price and now I hear that subsidy is going to be removed, so let me sell it at the new price and then shore up my profits, thereby making Nigerians suffer. Well, let's move on to other stories. Let's take a look at other states that ushered in new governments. In Kaduna State, Senator Uba Sani has pledged to run an all-inclusive government and focus on security as he took over the mantle of leadership from his predecessor, Nasir El-Rufai. The inauguration ceremony was held at Murtala Square in Kaduna, the state capital, where Governor Uba Sani pledged his commitment to advocate for the establishment of state police. The governor also promised to deploy advanced technological solutions to enhance safety measures.
The prevailing security situation in the country demands for a significant shift in the current structure. In this regard, I will work with my colleagues, governors, and members of the National and State Assembly to make state police a reality. I was in the forefront of advocacy for state police in the 9th Senate. I strongly believe that state police is the financial fool.
Kano State, Abba Kabir was sworn in as the new governor of the state, taking over power from Abdullahi Ganduje of the All Progressives Congress.
To begin this, we shall be launching the campaign, Kano, my state, my pride. Kano, my state, my pride. In the next couple of weeks, to promote unity and patriotism towards our dear state. It is a call to action that encourages every citizen to take ownership of their community, support initiatives that promote development, and work positive image of Kano at all times. We must all work collaboratively to ensure cleanliness and maintenance of infrastructure, promoting our cultural heritage and encouraging investment that will create opportunities for our people and attract more investors. At this point, let me say that we will commence the work of ensuring water supply across the state.
Caleb Mutfwang has been sworn in as the governor of Plateau State. At a ceremony in the capital, Jos, he pledges to tackle insecurity and revive the moribund economy of the state. He also promises to re-engineer the civil service, provide agricultural inputs for farmers, and continue the good works of the People's Democratic Party.
That campaigns are over, and we have shifted gear to governance. Let me therefore ask all of you to join hands, despite our political differences, to build the plateau of our dreams. I wish to extend my hand of friendship to the governorship candidates of other parties. Come along with me and your supporters, and let's build a new plateau. Fellow citizens, the time is now to unite in the face of a common adversary. It was Martin Luther King Jr. who remarked, we must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Because we must not perish, we must unite.
In Benue, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia of the All Progressives Congress has been sworn in as the 6th democratically elected governor of Benue State. Alia, alongside his deputy Sam Ode, pled to serve the people of Benue State with utmost sincerity, transparency and accountability. The governor, after taking the oath of office and inspection of police parade guards and mammoth crowd who have come from the 23 local government areas of the state to witness his inauguration at the Ibrahim Babangida Square in Makurdi, directed the immediate freezing of all accounts of the Benue State government.
The most pressing issues facing our state today, Celia mentioned that of insecurity. We cannot achieve any meaningful development in an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. As your governor, I'm committed to working with security agencies and the federal government to ensure the safety of lives and property in our state. We will also tirelessly address the root causes of insecurity, such as poverty, unemployment, and social exclusion. The state of our economy is another area that requires urgent attention. We can safely say that our state is on economic life support, requiring intensive care. We will prioritize job creation and economic empowerment by promoting private sector-led industrialization.
Over to the southeast, Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State says his administration will make youth employment, infrastructural growth and economic development his center of focus. Mba made this pledge at his formal inauguration as the 4th executive governor of Enugu State. He also says he will address issues of insecurity, make the state conducive for investors and improve the internal revenue of the state.
We will serve you with every fiber of our being and devote all our energy and your resources to working for you and your interests. Our driving force and governance philosophy will be always based on transcendental values. We will invoke the spirit of enterprise, the creative energy of our people, and the remarkable industry on the streets of Enugu State to create the difference in governance. We will pursue an economic growth that is unrivaled on this part of the country. We will tap into the limitless resources of the private sector to provide world-class infrastructure and productivity sector growth. We will retool and re-energize our agriculture and agro-allied sector.
Well, Rufai, Kaduna, Plateau, Benue, Enugu states, there are a number of governors their own inaugural speeches. Your thoughts on this?
I mean, when you look at all the states you've mentioned, strategic states, let's start from Kano, for instance. You know, Kano is a change of a baton back to the Kwankwasia movement. And we also all the drama that ensued, that the incumbent governor said he's not even going to sit down where the former governor used to sit. And he also looked at the fact that a lot had gone south in the state as regards how revenues were spent, and he said he was going to probe them. But I'd just like to tell Governor Kabir Yusuf of Kano that please, I'm not saying do not probe, do not introspect, but be careful with acrimony, because acrimony makes you lose the vision. If you want to waste your time with acrimony, it's not going to take you anywhere. How you're going to develop the lots of the people of Kano should be your priority, so be very careful. You know, pretty much reminds me of, I think it was Rumi that talked about if you want to seek revenge, you'll have to dig 2 graves. Be very careful. Focus on how you're going to develop. Let the authorities probe. Let them open up the books. And when you're done with that, for the sake of integrity, move forward. Our Governor Caleb Mufwang of Plateau has a lot of problems on his hands, and I think he had better start with it. Plateau has been a killing field. So much economic prospect, but the state cannot live up to its economic prospect because it's been a killing field. I'm not sure the economic indicators are any better for the state. So how they're going to develop the state and how they're going to try as much as possible to look within with less dependence on FARC. Because the problem is most of those states are not viable. They've got humongous debts, they always depend on the center. But we cannot effectively run the country that way. We keep talking about what's the buzzword now for this, devolution of power, restructuring and all of that. But we forget in a hurry that some have been signed. Take, for instance, to be able to set up your own power sector in your state. President Muhammadu Buhari signed that, giving the state capacity to be able to do their infrastructure and all of that. So the states have to think out of the box and bring in investment. And please, I beg the new state governors, I want to beg, do not go and call investment bankers and start telling them to look for money to embark on white elephant projects that are not relevant to the development of the states, and you benchmark the payment against the federal allocation. Don't do it. I beg you. Do not disrupt the prospect of the states. Look for foreign direct investment. Let the states grow organically. It is really important because most of the state government, hitherto, that's always the practice. Before you know it now, places already have airports, they will build another one.
All right. I mean, just to add to your focus on Plateau State in terms of security, I must also highlight Kaduna State and Benue State. Yeah. And the Kaduna State Governor, Senator Ubasani, had talked about his advocating state policing. We've had quite a number of killings, particularly in southern Kaduna. So it'd be great to see the next governor do something quite decisive about that, and of course in Benue State as well. We move on to our next story this morning, and media entrepreneur and businessman Dr. Raymond Dokpesi has died at the age of 71. Dokpesi was the founder of Nigeria's first private independent broadcast outfit, Dark Communications, owners of Raypower FM and Africa Independent Television. Our correspondent, Benga Ashiru, takes a look back at the life and times of Raymond Dokpesi.
Like a candle in the wind, life is indeed transient, as Nigeria's media mogul, Dr. Raymond Dokpesi, exits the world stage as it transits to the world beyond at age 71. Nevertheless, Dr. Dokpesi's contributions to the advancement of media and Nigeria's political environment can be said to have left an indelible mark in the sands of time. An Edo indigene from Agenabodi, his foray into entertainment could be traced to his days at Loyola College, Ibadan, where he pioneered a dance drama troupe, Ozolwa Playhouse. Raymond Dokpesi proceeded for his undergraduate at the University of Benin. He later attended Gdańsk University in Poland, where he obtained his doctorate degree in marine engineering. Prior to the early 90s, the Nigerian media was deregulated to allow for private practice. Chief Dokpesi took advantage of this and founded the first satellite television station in Nigeria, the African Independent Television. Like a cat with 9 lives, Raymond Dokpesi survived the dreaded COVID-19 in 2020. Being a protege of Bamanga Tukur, who sponsored his entire education, Dokpesi's closeness to the former People's Democratic Party chairman gave him an inroad into Nigeria's political frontiers. In 2010, Dokpesi was arrested for his alleged role in Abuja car bombing. He was released after spending 9 hours in detention and afterwards sued the country's secret police, the DSS, for alleged wrongful imprisonment. In 2015, Dokpesi, on behalf of the PDP, made a public apology allegedly for the mismanagement of Nigeria. On May 17, he was given an award for his contribution to the broadcasting industry in Nigeria. As Nigeria beholds another transition to a new democratic rule on May 29, could it be a twist of fate that Dr. Raymond Dokpesi has taken his final exit on same day? No doubt, the exit of this media guru and one of Nigeria's political heavyweights will create an irreplaceable vacuum in a long time to come. Benga Ashiru, Arise News.
A legend goes home, rest in peace, High Chief Dr. Raymond Alego Anthony Dokpesi.